let's just be honest with ourselves and know that keeping our people happy is what's going to keep our business alive. Because the last time I looked, all businesses were made up of humans, not robots. So if we're not taking care of our humans, our businesses will fail. No matter how good our product is, no matter what we say on stage, no matter what we say as a leader, if we're not taking care of our people, they will leave, period. If you like this video, please make sure you hit the like button below and make sure you subscribe to the peopleHum channel.
Welcome to another episode of the peopleHum series. I'm your host Aishwarya Jain, and let's begin with a quick introduction of peopleHum. peopleHum is an end-to-end, one-view integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM, that is specifically built for crafted employee experiences and the future of work. We run the peopleHum blog and video channel, which receives upwards of 200,000 visitors a year, and publish around 2 interviews with well-known names globally every month. And now for our guest, Monique Helstrom is a keynote speaker, trainer, coach, and founder and solutions expert at Monique Helstrom. She was also the chief of Simon Sinek and producer for nearly 8 years. Monique believes in the power of individuality to fuel relationships and partnerships with others. She has delivered inspiring talks at several executive leadership support events and is truly dedicated to scaling roles and businesses. Welcome, Monique. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Monique. So I would like to begin, and I think, you're also popularly known as the How to Simon's Why, and you've had such an exciting journey so far. So if I can, just ask about how is it that you came to kind of like begin your journey the way you did, and how did you finally come to your own venture, founding your own venture, Monique Helstrom?
Sure, thank you. So I wake up every day to help people get to their next evolution. I think the more people can raise their individual selves up and grow to be the best versions of themselves, that will help the world become a better version of itself when all the individuals that make it up have a part and have a responsibility in that. So that has always been my why, that has always been my purpose, and I've had many different jobs that have represented that for me throughout my life. And obviously the most recent one being working with Simon Sinek and helping him. I've always been helping people build themselves, build their brands, build their businesses. And like I said, the most recent was with Simon Sinek. So yeah, I spent the last decade working with Simon Sinek, helping him build himself, build his brand, build the processes and systems that go behind the scenes so that business can be sustainable and have a solid foundation. And it just had become time for me to help other people do that. Again, I was with him for quite some time, and I knew that there were other people out there struggling and needed some help and felt stuck. And so I wanted to go out and help the masses do just that. So came to start Monique Helstrom about 1.5 years ago. And this is my second time around the self-employed rainbow. I'm a glutton for punishment, and I have owned my own business before. And somehow I thought it was a good idea to do it again. But I really love what I do. I love helping people. And hopefully I'll be able to do this forever.
Wow, that's great. I think that's the most important thing, when you can just bring out your passion in the best way. And if you can help others and do what you just love to do on a daily basis, I think that's really, you've come to the right place finally in your life is what I think. And I've seen a lot of your interviews, and you always talk about communication, how you have to kind of stress on being proactive and communicate. And, right now when we are, behind closed walls and we're kind of stuck at home, there's lockdown situations a lot of places. How do you think we could really be proactive in communicating virtually, as well as to, build successful relationships and partnerships?
Absolutely. I think it's more important now than ever. A very close friend of mine, Peter Docker, always says relationship is the foundation for accomplishment. And no truer statement has ever been said, in my opinion. In order to get anything done, we need people. We're social animals. We need others to help us. I know we all love to think that I was the only one who built my business from the ground up and I did all of these things. And maybe that's true, but I could guarantee you that with some communication and some relationship building with others, it might have been better, easier, smarter, faster, or what have you. And being proactive in your communication and using your relationships with others to help you build, to help you see see your blind spots. You know, that's one of the most beautiful things about other people is that we all have different perspectives. Unfortunately, somewhere along the way, that has become a bad thing these days, where being different is bad or weird or to be scared of, especially here in America, which is a whole other conversation. But I love the fact that we're all different. I love the fact that we all see things differently. I can come to you and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I feel. This is how I want to build this. What do you see? Do you see any holes? Can you help me? Can you fill in any place that I'm just not that I'm not seeing myself? And I think that's one of the biggest benefits of having other people around you. And you can only do that through communication and through empathetic communication and being curious and not coming to the table and saying, I'm going to do the thing. You say, hey, I'm thinking of doing it this way. What can you help me with? What can you add to the table? What does each person bring to the table? And again, the only way we get to know that is through communication, to be able to understand how our differences can actually fill in and make us better. Our differences can make all the difference in our business, can help us make all the difference. So again, empathetic communication, listening, we know how to do this in our personal lives. It's very fascinating to me that it's such a lost art in the world of business, where we know if we want to build a friendship or build a relationship with a partner, how do you do that? You have to talk. You have to know each other. And for some reason that's somewhat lost in business. So I'm here to bang my drum and hopefully bring communication back to the forefront.
Absolutely. I think, there's no better time than right now when we can really try and communicate. But,
Yeah.
Monique, I also wanted to know, oftentimes what happens is that there is a lot of dynamism in business groups, right? And, oftentimes leaders they're suddenly pushed into a leadership role when they're not even ready. So, maybe they're just introverts. How do you kind of, bridge that gap of communication where, you might be an introvert? So I might be very shy in talking. How do I kind of come out and communicate?
Sure. It is a misconception that all leaders are extroverts. I probably know more introverted leaders than I do extroverted leaders, and I don't really think that has too much to do with it. What does have to do with it is being open with who you are, and I think for a leader, in my brain, the steps are you have to know who you are. I have to know who I am as a leader. I have to know what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, and where my tendencies lie. So I can then go to my people and say, hey, everyone, I tend to be a little bit of an introvert. I tend to be quiet. I tend to need to think about things before I react. I tend to get very quiet when I feel stressed. This is how I react. And I just want to let you all know and be vulnerable and communicate who I am so that everyone knows. And then they understand your behavior after that and they can accommodate for it as well. So once I know myself and then I know my people and I know how they like to be communicated to and how they like to receive information, well, that's the secret ingredient. So then I can know when I have to stretch myself a little. If I'm working with my sales team, and they tend to be very extroverted, and they tend to like to receive information in a certain way. Well, if I have a meeting with them, then I can say, okay, I might have to stretch my introverted a little bit today, and I might have to get in front of the group and say something. And so I need to prepare, and I need time to do that. And I need to, whatever I need to do to get ready to be that person. And then I take the responsibility to do that. So yeah, I think introversion and extroversion are equal as far as leaderships go. As long as you have empathy, as long as you care about your people, as long as you take care of everyone in front of you and treat everyone with respect, I think you can do that no matter what your preferences are.
Absolutely. That's such wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Monique. I think it's, as you said, it's the value that you bring to the table that will ultimately matter. And you can
Yeah.
just mold yourself to be a great leader, no matter whether you're an extrovert or an introvert.
Yeah. All the leaders over time, not every leader was an extrovert. Not every hero that we have, most of them were introverts and didn't like to get up on stage, but they felt the need to do it in order to help other people be the best versions of themselves. So, at times leaders, we have to do things that we don't always prefer, that we don't always like maybe, but again, with honesty and openness and vulnerability, I think we can accomplish anything.
Absolutely. I think, as you said, vulnerability is such an important factor, especially nowadays when, your life and your work lifestyle it's kind of mixed, right? There are no solid lines, they're all blurred. So I think
Yes.
that'll make a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Uh, I also wanted to touch upon another aspect that you talk about, which is kind of, the importance of building a good process. So when you talk about a good process and when you want to be very efficient in what you're doing,
Mhm.
what can be kind of the baby steps that you could follow, and in your experience and expertise, what is it that'll make us more efficient?
Sure. I always say inspiration only comes to life if there's a good process to back it up. And that is something that I have believed my whole life. I have seen many leaders and heads of companies who are so passionate about why they are doing whatever the thing is or why they're building the thing, and then the outcome. And they tend to forget that how they get there is just as important as why they're going there. And they tend to bypass putting so much attention on the process and the procedures behind it. And they tend to think, oh, that's for the structural people, that's for the engineers, that's for the type A'ers. And it's not. It's for everyone. Everyone has to be bought into the process of how we're getting from point A to point B. So how you do that is individual to the person or the thing that you're building. But it's knowing yourself, knowing how you need to feel safe. It's knowing your people and how they like to be communicated to. Because we all want our people to be motivated, but unfortunately, we as humans, I can't motivate anyone to do anything. I can't motivate another human being. Nobody can be motivated. All I can do is create the conditions in which you motivate yourself. So if we do that, if we take care of our people and allow them to have what they need to be the best versions of themselves, well, that's how we're going to make that happen. So knowing yourself, knowing your people are super important to building the process. And then taking it slow. Again, we want to rush through the getting it done, the little stuff. And the more we can concentrate and pinpoint each milestone, each goal, each place where we're going to stop and look back and say, is this the best way that we're building it? Is this the most efficient process that we have to go through it? And iterate throughout the process and talk to our people. Well, we're going to build a foundation so that we can do that again. It's not a, we build these systems for a one time around the sun, and then we have to build it again for the next process or the next product we're going to build. And instead of just slowing down, taking your time, building something that's a solid foundation so that you can repeat that and use it again the next time you want to build something. And again, one of my favorite things is asking for help. If you're not a systems builder, if you're not a type A person who loves all the little teeny weeny details, then surround yourself with people who do. We tend to like to surround ourselves with people who are like us. And I'm here to say that the most efficient way to build a business is to hire a whole bunch of people who are not like you, who see things different, who hear things different, who can see the holes, and who are as passionate about what you're building as you are.
Right, absolutely agree with you. And I also wanted to, understand. So what happens is that when you are in a business, in a corporate culture, the culture is built around certain values and certain, kind of systems, right? And even when you are unique as a person, come in, you are unique. But sometimes you kind of get lost in the sameness of things, and the culture forces you to be what they are, and that might kind of diminish their diversity, their uniqueness. So as an individual, how can somebody be stoic in a situation where hey, I want to keep my uniqueness? How
Mhm.
do they balance that out with the corporate culture?
Sure. I think that's a fault of corporate cultures these days, that they want everyone to be and feel and act and hear and speak the same. Again, that's my soapbox. I've said that a number of times. Um, and so I think it comes from the top down. I think if this is happening in the corporate culture, that really does need to come from the leadership down. And I think if leaders are noticing that everyone is starting to blend in and look the same, then maybe that's the time for a leader to stop, take a step back and say, what have I put in place that has made this happen? That's beside the point. For an individual, I think it comes back to some confidence around what strengths you do bring to the table, and knowing your value. When you have that confidence, and when you really know what value you have and what you can offer others, you stand a little taller, you hold yourself a little prouder, and it's a little harder for you to drop it all and be someone else. So first, I think that's an absolute. And again, my version of what a leader is not someone who runs an organization. It's someone who takes care of the people. So for a departmental manager, for anyone who manages other humans, if you see something like this going on, if you feel like you're being blended into the vanilla of the culture, then I would offer you to stand up and say, hey, I want everyone here to be themselves. Let's talk about this. Let's each take personality tests, and let's have a 3-hour meeting where we're going to go through our personality tests and learn about what we each individually bring to the table, and just start doing it within your own department. Start taking care of those around you. Even if you don't run a department, get a couple of people that you work with and say, hey, let's figure out who we are. Let's take some personality tests, and let's meet after work today and get a bite to eat, and let's discuss it, so that each of you individually can hold yourselves to a higher standard, hold your value, which will make others notice. And usually what happens is you start to perform better, and the department starts to perform better, and your group starts to become more cohesive and become a team. And then others will look at that team and go, hey, they seem really happy over there. What are they doing over there? And then that's how the culture comes back to where it was. So even if you don't have the ability to manage other people, I think you can still, put your arm around a couple of people that are close to you, and still try to help each other be the best versions of themselves.
Wow, that's really inspiring. I think that'll help a lot of individuals, because I think a lot of people are struggling with that. And I also wanted to touch upon something you said earlier, right? Ask for help. So
Ask for.
so many times you just become a blocker because you think you can solve everything on the planet by yourself, and that's not really how it should be. But
Yeah.
also, do you think it's generational, or is it a little bit, does it tend to be more on the side of the females? Do you think females are more scared to ask for help?
Historically speaking, we've males and females have each had their own individual times in history where they've been scared to ask. I don't know who does it more, but I do think they might be for different reasons. Women tend to not ask for help because women, we've had to prove our way in the world, and we're still having to prove that we're valued and valuable in this world. I know, most men would like to think that that part's over, but it's not. And we're still having to struggle, and we're still having to prove. So asking for help might sound vulnerable. And again, for men, they might feel the same way. They might think that they'd be less of a man if they ask for help, or whatever the reasons might be. We won't get into all that. However, we are at a stage in our world where people find it very difficult to ask for help, and all that takes is courage and vulnerability. And it takes the practice of you doing it a few times and not dying. My business coach, my amazing business coach Chris, says, our brains are hardwired to think that something scary or difficult or something that we don't do often will kill us. We have this old brain that's been around for hundreds of thousands of years that is saying, don't try that new thing. You might get hurt. You might die. There might be a tiger behind it, all of those things. So we tend to not try new things. And having the courage to just jump and ask for help once will tell your subconscious, hey, I did that and I didn't die. And that was amazing. And then you might have even just 1% more courage the next time around to ask it again. And then you'll have 3% more courage, and then you'll have 5%, and then you'll have 20. And the more you practice with any skill, the practice makes perfect. So just start. Ask something that's, as we say, above the water, something that's easy, something that is not so heavy and so deep. Like, let's start light and practice asking a friend, asking a relative, asking someone and then start experimenting in your business as well. It's a learned skill, just like anything else is. And it might not be your favorite thing to do. It might not be your best personality trait, but it's something that we can all learn to do without a doubt.
Absolutely. I think that will help just about anybody. So, yeah. And I would also like to touch upon something that's been trending a lot now. How do you think organizations can optimize their, learning and development spend, especially during an economic downturn as it is now? Because they want to retain that top performing employees, right? So how do they go about optimizing that?
Sure. It's very sad to me. I've seen this over the downturn in 2008, and I've seen this in the late 90s as well, where once the economy goes down, the first thing that's pulled is conferences and social events and learning and development and building your people. And that to me is the equivalent of having teachers be paid next to nothing. It's like, don't we want our people to be very educated and smart and growth oriented and diverse? Like, isn't that something that we all want in the world? And it's ironic because we do want that in our companies, but we don't want to spend the money in order to have our people be that, which just blows my mind completely. So, again, this is up to the leaders. This is courage. This is the courage for a leader to stand up for their people and say, look, I know we're going through a downturn right now, but I'm going to continue to take care of my people regardless. And making sure that they feel happy, that they feel supported, that they feel loved, all of those things. It's a real shame that is the first thing that gets pulled. I think it's up to the leaders to stay with it. And, the numbers, the bottom line that we all think is so important it's just a number, and it's an arbitrary number that we have at one point said, hey, I'm going to hit this mark on this date that I made up from nowhere that could or could not happen. And the only people I've told this to is my shareholders. And so, if we just really get down to it and say, So we didn't make as much money this year. So our product didn't take off at the right date. We made all that up anyway. So let's just be honest with ourselves and know that keeping our people happy is what's going to keep our business alive. Because the last time I looked, all businesses were made up of humans, not robots. So if we're not taking care of our humans, our businesses will fail, no matter how good our product is, no matter what we say on stage, no matter what we say as a leader. If we're not taking care of our people, they will leave, period. And your business will fail. So it just makes sense to me, of course.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. And, corporate cultures and businesses are living ecosystems and they're breathing ecosystems. So it's about time we learn how to, spend wisely on people, because I think ultimately the ROI that you get out of investing in people will be much higher than, literally anything else.
Yeah. I mean, what is money at the end of the day anyway? It's pieces of paper that help us have freedom. That's all it is. It's pieces of paper that allow us to do the things that we want to do. And I feel like humans are a more important currency that allow us to do the things that we want to do and give us freedom.
Absolutely, absolutely. And finally, Monique, I just want to ask you any piece of advice that you could give to our audience in how they can find out their why, and any other sound bites that you'd like to leave for them.
Sure. As far as finding your why and finding your purpose, that does take some work. It takes a little in-depth research into yourself. I always like to start with some personality tests. There's 1,000 of them online. Take whichever one feels good to you. I'm a big fan of like Strengths Finders and Enneagram and your love language. What's your star sign? Like, look at all of it. Do a lot of research on who you are as a person. You will start to see some patterns. If you take multiple personality tests, you'll start to see some patterns within that. And you'll start to be able to have some language that you could then use outward to tell other people about who you are. So I always think that's the first step. There are a number of books out there. Obviously, Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. David Mead and Peter Docker's book, Find Your Why. Their workbook is incredibly helpful, I think, and that literally takes you through the process, the Find Your Why book, which I love. And just start to look in the mirror. Really start to identify who you are, and talk to your friends and ask them what it is about you that they love so much. And again, take time. It's not something to be rushed. I think I did my first why discovery with Simon in 2007 before I was even hired. I did it again in 2012. I think I did it again in 2015. It just took me a while to get the words right. But I knew it and I lived it anyway. So just because I didn't have the words to use, I still think that was okay. I'd rather live my why for a whole day than have my words for my whole life. One of my friends, Steven, says that a lot. So I think that's what we can do is look in the mirror, identify where our strengths are, where our weaknesses are, and work towards that, and then help others do the same. Help lift everyone up that's around you. And I think if we can all do that, both professionally and personally, I think we'll all see something really magical happen in this world.
That's great. That is very inspiring. And I think, introspection is what we need. So
in these days we're pointing outwards. Again, we've got a lot going on in this world these days, and definitely in America, I'm seeing it that we all want to push the accountability onto somebody else for my lot in life. You did this to me. You made me. You are telling me to do this. We do this at work. We do this in our personal lives. We do this with government. And I think the more we can each look in the mirror and start pointing our fingers this way and say, how can I turn the dial just one notch today? How can I be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday? Just little incremental changes. And once you start doing that, then you can help other people do that. And that's the way that we solve this planet. It just is.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. Thank you so much, Monique, for such great advice. It's been an amazing journey with you. And I think I've learned something out of this conversation. So thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Thank you for having me, and let me know if there's anything I could do to help.
Absolutely. Thank you so much and take care, Monique.
Thanks. Bye.